For the day after tomorrow, we have slots at 11 a.m. and 11:30 a.m. Do either of those work for you?
Anything in the afternoon?
Absolutely. We have 2 p.m. and 2:30 p.m. available in the afternoon. Which one would you prefer?
Hello, and welcome back to HighLevel Techie. This is Jitin here, and today I'm going to show you how you can use the actual availability inside your voice AI agents. So if you use this, your voice AI agent can say, we have an availability tomorrow at 2 p.m. and we have availability on 20th at 3 p.m. and so on. So let's dive into it and see how you can use this. So if you're not aware, this is possible by the latest update on voice AI agent, that you can now include custom fields and custom values inside your prompt. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to include the live availability inside the prompt, and the voice AI agent can talk to the user about the availability based on that data. So I'm going to show you a quick demo how it's done, and then you will understand this better, and then I'm going to show you how it is done. Okay, so let's get into the demo right now.
This call will be recorded for quality purposes.
Hey there. You have reached Elite Flooring Company. How can I help you?
Hey, I'm looking to get some more information about flooring.
Got it. I'll have a team member reach out to you with all the details. In the meantime, let's get your contact info and set up an appointment. What's your name?
Okay, so my name is J-I-D-H-I-N.
Thanks, Jitin. Just to confirm, that's J-I-D-H-I-N, right?
No, it's J-I-T for tree, H-I-N.
Oh, got it. J-I-D-H-I-N. Thanks for clarifying. Now, could you share your email address with me?
Sure, this is gmail.com.
Thanks. Just to make sure I got it right, your email is j-i-gmail.com. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Perfect. Now, we have 3 executives, Arjun, Rohith, and Kiran. Who would you like to book your appointment with?
I would like to have a chat with Kiran, please.
Great choice. Now let's find a time that works for you. How about tomorrow at 2 p.m. or 2:30 p.m.?
Do you have anything on day after tomorrow?
Hey, just checking in to see if either of those times work for you. Let me know.
I was asking, do you have anything for day after tomorrow?
Sure thing. For the day after tomorrow, we have slots at 11 a.m. and 11:30 a.m. Do either of those work for you?
Anything in the afternoon?
Absolutely. We have 2 p.m. and 2:30 p.m. available in the afternoon. Which one would you prefer?
Okay, let's do 2 p.m. then.
Awesome. I'll book you in with Kiran for 2 p.m. the day after tomorrow. Keep an eye on your messages for confirmation. Anything else I can help with?
No, I think that's all for now. Thank you.
You're welcome, Jithan. Thanks for choosing Elite Flooring. Have a fantastic day.
You too. Bye.
If you need anything else, feel free to reach out. Take care.
Bye. You too. Take care. Bye.
Great.
Okay. So that was my call. She didn't want to hang up, so it took me a couple of seconds to make her to hang up. Well, that's good. So many people were complaining that she's hanging up abruptly, but in this case, she was not hanging up. So that's a good news. Anyway, you have seen how I am getting the available dates, and if I check my calendar, you can see the availability is pretty much the same. So it's actually based on my calendar. My AI agent is getting the live availability, and then she is communicating that and booking a slot based on that availability. Now, if I go into my email or into my workflow, I can see my appointment would have been booked. So let me show you that. So let me go into my calendar and appointments, and let's see if I have an appointment on 2 p.m. day after tomorrow. So there you go. So today is March 3rd, tomorrow is March 4th, and day after tomorrow is March 5th. and I have an appointment booked for 2 p.m. on March 5th, which is the day after tomorrow, just as I requested. So now you can see there won't be any issue regarding booking on a date and time that is not available, because AI agent is giving out the live availability to the user, so they can book on the right available slots whenever that is available. So now let's get into it and see how it is done. Okay, so let's go into our appointment agent. This is the agent that I'm using. Let's click done here. Okay, let's get into our agent itself and see what's happening. So if you have seen my previous videos, you know that how I have set this agent up. This is a AI agent for a flooring company called 8 Flooring, and all of these are pretty standard. We have the name for the agent, we have the business name, language, the voice, and the time zone. And this is an inbound call, and then this is the initial message, and the magic happens inside agent goal section. So if you go here, what we have is there's an introduction, and then the goal is to gather name and email, and then we have to book an appointment. In one of the other videos, I have also shown you how you can use multiple agents and book under their calendar. So that's why the agent was giving out 3 executives' names. And then what happens is that we have a section called available slots. And in this slot, what I'm going to give you is that calendar availability is given here, custom values, calendar available slots in JSON format. This is what the AI agent is using to inform the user about the live availability. So now what we have to look into is how we can generate this custom value and update this custom value, and then all of this will become easier for you to understand, and everything else is pretty similar to the last video I created. So if you want to know about how to build this out, you can check out my previous videos. So now let's get into how we can generate this custom value calendar available slots. So we are heading over to the automation. So in this automation, I'm using available slots. This is the automation that I am using. What we are going to do is that we can set a trigger whenever there is a new call, or whenever the call ends, we can update this with a new value. So as of now, I haven't set a trigger, but you can always set a trigger to look for the end of the call. So now I'm going to give you an overview of what is happening here. So I'd like to start from the last step here. So in the last step, this is the main thing. So what we are going to do is that we are going to update the calendar available slot custom value with a custom code output, and the code output kind of looks like this. This is the current value from the last code run. So you can see this is all the slots available are shown here. And whenever this workflow runs, it will generate a JSON format like this with the slots and update our custom value called calendar available slots. And we use this custom value inside our prompt, and then our voice AI kind of understands what are the current available slots based on the value that we give from this workflow. Okay, so that's what we are going to do. And to get here, we need to do a lot of steps. So the first thing is that we need to run a custom code. You can also run a custom webhook, but the problem with custom webhook is that it is going to give you slots in multiple steps, and it's very hard to capture the whole output in one chunk. So that's why I have decided to use a custom code. So I'll share this custom code inside my community, and then you can copy and paste the whole code if you want. So let's go and look at the code for now. So if you want to generate this code, you can also build it with AI. This is exactly what I did. So what I'm trying to do here is that I'm running an API call to GHL API version 2. So here is the API documentation. So what we are interested in is under calendars. So if you go under calendars, you'll see a lot of calendar related folders. Inside the first one, you see get free slots. If you click on that, you get the format of this API call. So get free slot, you use a get request, and then we send the request to this specific URL, and this URL needs a calendar ID. And then if you scroll down, you also need as an end date, a start date, as well as the authorization and the version. So you can get the version from here, authorization from a private integration key that you have created. You can check out one of my previous videos, how to generate a private integration key to book appointments and to find free slots. Once you get these version and authorization, your header is ready to go. And now what we need is an start date and end date. So the start date and the end date are the time between we are looking for the free slots. So for example, the start date is today and the end date is 2 days from now. So if we provide this value to the API call, it will return us with all the available slots between these two dates. So that's why we require start date and end date. And you can see here, these two are required fields. So our next step is to generate the start date and end date. So that's what we're going to do now. So let's head back to our automation again. In this custom code, so what we are trying to run is this URL. And inside this URL, you can see I have the start date equal to a custom value start time and end date equal to a custom value end time. So we have to create 3 custom values for this to work. The first custom value would be the one that we create to store the available slot, which is called calendar available slots. You can call it whatever you want to call. So in my case, I'm calling this custom value as calendar available slots. And the 2 other custom values that we require are called start time and end time. You can see here, those are the custom values that I have used inside this URL. So you need to create 3 custom values, one for start time, one for end time, and the third one to capture the free slots. Okay. Once you have that, you just copy and paste the whole URL in here. And now our task is to create this start time and end time. Okay. All these 4 steps are to create the start time and end time. So let's see how we can create the start time. So in this step, what I'm doing is I'm setting the current date and time in Unix format. So to do that, I'm using date time formatter step. So if you're not familiar, what you can do is that you can search for date time formatter. So you can see here date time formatter. This is what I'm using. And in here, what I'm using is I'm trying to format a date time or format date. And then I have to select a field. In this case, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to select the current date. And this can be in this format, but the output format we need is the Unix format. So if you go back to our documentation here, and if you look at the start date and end date examples, you can see this is in like a bunch of numbers. So which is a Unix format. That's what we are trying to do here. Okay. So we convert that into Unix timestamp, but then you need to understand that the right Unix timestamp is mentioned in milliseconds, and what we get here is in seconds. So the next step would be to multiply this value with 1000 to make this into milliseconds. So in order to multiply this value using a math operator or a math step, we first need to save this value into a custom value or a custom field. In this case, we are using a custom value. So our next step is to save that into a custom value called start time. So we are saving this formatted date and time into this start time custom value. And in the next step, what we are going to do is that we are multiplying the start time with 1000. So we get this value in milliseconds. So now our start time is in milliseconds. And what we need now is that we need to add, for example, like 3 days to the current date so that we get the end date, which is 3 days from now. So the easiest way to do this would be to add 3 days in milliseconds to the start time. So this is the value of 3 days in milliseconds. So if you want any other dates, for example, like 2 days or 4 days and so on, you can ask Google or ChatGPT to generate this number. So just ask 4 days in milliseconds and you will get a value, and you add that value in here to the start time to generate the end time. So now we have start time in milliseconds and end time in milliseconds. Once we have those two values, we are ready to run this custom code. And in this custom code, we have to give the URL, and inside the URL, we are using the custom values as the start time equal to this value and end date equal to this value. So that gives us the right parameters for our URL. And then we need to generate our private integration key to use within the authorization. And once we have that, we are good to run this code. You can copy and paste the whole code from my community. I'll share this code in there. And once you get this code running, you always have to test your code so that you can use the result of this code in steps further down the line. So that's what I've done here. So if I go here and if I click on this tag icon and scroll down, I can see custom code. If I go into the custom code, I can see the output, and then all I have to do is click on result, and I have mapped the result successfully onto my custom values that stores my available slots. So once this is done, we are pretty much ready to go. What you can do is that you can do a test run. And let's go into the execution logs to see how it is working. So you can see I've been added into this workflow just now, and the current date time is added, updated this custom field with the current time and math operation to run this into millisecond. And I got the end date by adding 3 days to this start date. Now we can check out this custom code run. So if you click on view details, you can see here the code output is this, the slots for on the 4th, I have the slots, and on the 5th, I have the slots. On the 5th, I have slots on 11 o'clock, 11:30, 12, 12:30. And you can see 2 p.m. slot is missing because that I have already booked an appointment on 2 p.m. just now. So 2 p.m. is not available. Then you have 2:30 p.m. and so on. And then this is the date on 6th. So I'm getting 3 days from now, which is on the 4th, 5th, and 6th. I'm getting the availability because I am adding plus 3 days to my start date. So this value now gets added to my custom value here. You can see I updated the custom value with this whole value. And now if you go back to our voice AI agent prompt, this would make sense to you now. Calendar availability is given here in this custom value in JSON format. But when you tell the user about the availability, please use human understandable format like tomorrow 2 p.m. or 20th 11 a.m., etc. Always give 2 options for the available slots. That's why it's always tell you only two available times. And then do not mention the year because we are also sending out the year along with the date and time. A human agent wouldn't tell you that we have an availability on tomorrow 2025, which would sound awkward. So we mentioned that do not mention the year. And then also, if the user is asking for a slot that is not available in the given list, we tell that, please tell them that the requested slot is unavailable. So this is the prompt that is giving you the availability on a real-time basis. And then appointment booking is, we have already discussed in one of the previous videos, so I will not go into that in depth right now. So this is for appointment booking, and we have 3 agents like I mentioned before. I have mentioned this in one of my previous videos, so feel free to check that out. And then they select the right agent, and once that's done, so these are all pretty standard prompting to collect name, email address, and so on. So the only difference we made so far is adding this section into our prompting to give out available slots, and that made the difference. Okay, so if you want, I can quickly run through the appointment booking workflow as well. So here, this is the appointment agent workflow, which I'm using for the 3 agents. So this will run when the call ends. So if you go back to our agent, you can see trigger workflow when the call is completed, appointment agent workflow. So we are inside this workflow. This would run when the call ended and would check for the right executive. So if you go into our execution log, we can see we selected Kiran in the last call, and you can see the Kiran branch got executed. And then we ran this custom GPT to get the right date and time. So you can see the right date and time is 2 p.m. on 5th. And then we ran this custom webhook, and you can see the appointment status is confirmed. So this webhook ran successfully, and we got that appointment booked. And then we send out the emails and other notifications afterwards. So this is how the appointment is booked using real live availability based on your calendar. So to recap, you have to first create 3 custom values, one to store the start date, one to store the end date, and one to store the whole availability. And once you've done that, you create this workflow that I've shown you earlier to update these custom values with the current live availability that is coming from by running free calendar slots API call. And once you save that, you come back to your AI voice prompting and click on this tag here, and then you go into your custom values and you select the availability slot. You select the calendar available slots custom values or whichever name you have given, and use that inside your prompt and click save, and your AI agent would know the updated availability for your calendars. So this is not simple, but it's pretty straightforward. So if you have any questions, please let me know. I'll be happy to help. So I hope this was helpful. I'll see you in the next one. And thank you so much. Bye.